Right, first key position is A1. You're using this in a Sturv or a 9-0, basically always. Just so if they push 1-2, you're farming it. You're normally starting like here with the Sturv and shooting mid, and then you're falling back if they push 1-2. You need to not reach trees correctly, so you're basically never going to be spotted by them coming here, and even if they're here, you should be unspotted basically. So a very good position, especially for a Sturv. Maybe with the K91 buffs, like maybe you can start using this in K91, but I think Sturv is still on top for Proko. Next is A2. Next to it, it's basically just a hold down that you're using again to just hold 1-2. You can normally be here at the beginning just to shoot if it's anything mid or you get some EBR damage possibly. And then you go back into A2 just to accept this push, and yeah, very good location to stop it. Right, next is the bowl for north. Why has it changed? But yeah, next is the bolt. You're going here with an i7, can be 260 as well, or 277 if you don't have either. And you're just using it to basically control the mid a little bit, and possibly get info on rotations here if you can peek up. But normally you can't because you get shot from H1. But yeah, the idea is you're kind of controlling the mid or spotting the mid because you can peek up and they can no longer basically play anywhere here if you're here because you just shoot them. And I guess anywhere close here. And yeah, you spot this rotation. It's quite nice. Right, next is A6. You're normally using this in 279, Badger, and I mean, it can be a Sturv as well, but I think Badger and 279 is better here. You're basically putting a tank here to control this overpush, because you can basically hold down in a Badger. 279, you can kind of angle up with the ridge line. So if they jump into this line, you can kind of just kill it with hold down, and eventually you force them to come into this, which bleeds them even more from 1-2. And yeah, you then can even push up to mid if this all dies. So nice position. Next is A8. You're using this. It can be in a lot of tanks. Like you can put a Badger here, you can put an i7 here, you can put a 60p here, you can put a 279 here. Like it doesn't really matter. But it's just basically a hold down that you're farming this line, basically, and you're just a bastard to kill. And yeah, so like if they want to kill you, they need to like push over to you and basically kill you. But yeah, you farm a lot of this, especially if they're doing like a 9-0 strat with like pushing this and this to kill like the people here. You kind of just farm these people that are here the whole time. So nice. Right, next is A0. This can be used in Sturv 279 again. It's basically a hold down that you're using to snipe all of this. Can also support this angle, and especially in a Sturv because you have enough counter pressure to shoot it. And you're basically just stopping them from playing anywhere here. You farm them if they come off the hill. They can't play if like if for some reason they ignore you, they can't go here. So just a very useful position to stop a 9-0 push. Right, next is D8. You're using this in a 279. It can be a 60 TP as well, but you're basically using this to control people in the lot. Like if they push 9-0 off the hill or like this, you have a tank here that just kind of farms them the whole time here, so they are forced to kind of do something about you, which is normally pushing over like this and trying to shoot you in your ass. That's why you kind of use the 279, because these people can't pen him, basically. If it's a 60 TP, it can obviously be penned in, the cupolas, driver hatch, and lower plate if you show it. So you're normally forcing the enemy team to come up to like here at least to shoot you in your back, or even cross over to come and shoot you as well. Yeah, that's it. It can also be used to spot like the hill here, and then fall back into this little area, but normally you'll have something to spot the hill. Right, next is B9. You're using this again just to kind of spot the hill push and also punish it, and then they need to climb up to you to kill you. So yeah, just a very annoying position that you have to kill if you want to push 9-0. It can be cross-fired from like here, obviously. So if you get some things here, it can be shot in its ass, and yeah, people will climb. If people climb all the way up to here, they will push you off enough where I think even here can shoot you. So yeah, just be warned about, or be careful about that. Right, next is the bowl on the hill in G9, G0. You're using this in a 260 and RIS7, something with fast and have turret armor. You're using it basically to spot any rotation here, and if they are sitting on the rails, forcing them to kind of dump you, so you can either like come to here and pre-aim for their dump, or just come here and also redump. Yeah. Another position to kind of spot the rails is like F8. Like you're normally going here with an I7, normally being pushed really by CS to here, which basically spots the rails for you. So yeah, it's quite useful. Yeah. Right, next is south. So first south is the bowl. Again, it's the same from north. You're using it to basically shoot the mid. You can shoot the people that are here or here or here if they're peaking too high on the ridge. You can like not really do much else because you're kind of out of render of the red line. I mean, you're kind of out of red line here, but you have a possibility. This you have no possibility of spotting any rotations here. But yeah, just kind of cover the mid to force them to not play high on mid. Right, next is E1. Obviously, it can be used in EBR to basically spot very deep into 1-2, so they can't play like basically anywhere past here. But it's also helpful if you have a Sturv. Getting a Sturv into here, basically he farms A2 for you. If for some reason, or if you have pushed the mid, or like this, you just farm the A2 with the Sturv with like an EBR somewhere, hopefully in the bushes, to spot A2. So you just farm it out from the Sturv. It will take some time, but you will kill it eventually. There is no safe, really place to hide. next is for Sturf's positions. It's K2. This is basically just to cover the mid and also shoot this. If they send guys here, obviously it can also support the rails. It's very versatile. It has tons of bushes, so they need to YOLO and EBR to kill you. And yeah, you just kind of support a dump of any kind in mid. So yeah, very helpful. Right, next is similar to the north, but K1. There's a nice little ridge line here that you can use, basically forcing the enemy team to push all the way to here to kill you. And obviously with K2 and K1, you have a good crossfire here, and they will bleed a lot to kill this and this. So yeah, very nice. It can also obviously you can then push up to K1 H1, and you can also shoot the mid. Yeah. Right, next is the hill. You're kind of sending a tank here. Can be a CS at the beginning or EBR, just to kind of spot them coming. But afterwards, you can put a nice 7 in, and he can peek up a little bit, and he can see kind of obviously can also spot this for you, while also being kind of unpennable from people sniping here or people sniping from mid. So yeah, quite nice. Right, let's just go straight into some EBR runs for this map. Firstly, from north, most EBRs are just running this ridge, just spot what's coming mid, and then they're going to 1-2. Normally you're going into this bush, you can go to these, but it's kind of an option of this one or this one. That's that first one for mid. Second would be a hill spot. You're normally going like this and like slightly peeking up to see if there's anything sitting on rails, and then you should either go back to this or you can play like on these bushes here. Either one works. It depends on what your team's doing. You know, if they are doing some mid over push, then you probably run away. If they are actually coming to 9-0, you can probably just stay here and chill for a bit. You can also do this run, and if you see their enemy EBR maybe he does this run and then runs away, you can time it to where you are going like this and then running away to spot even see very deep info on this, but you have to time it well against the other EBR. There isn't really a run on 1-2 done, really. So yeah, that's it for north. From south, it's basically the same thing. You're running this ridge, seeing what's coming mid. Ideally, you're seeing things coming to the bowl. Ideally, if you are playing bowl, it's quite important. And then you're running to 1-2. Normally, like one of these two bushes is fine. If you can get into this, like you can, but it's very hard to run away when you're here. So it's much better to just kind of have a later spot, but you will live always basically, because you can, if an EBR YOLOs you just put the bush in between you and him, and you run away. Second is the hill spot. You're going up the hill, obviously, and you're just running this ridge, and you're spotting what's coming. You can do this run as well. Just to also spot if they're coming straight, but I think it's quite risky, and you can die for it. So I just prefer a hill spot. I think it's just better. Again, 1-2 run. Like if you have triple EBR, you can do some like one EBR pushing down 1-2, the other EBR coming into E1, but that's if you have three EBRs. Some people are jumping EBR over rails. Don't do this. This is just very risky, because if they have rails, they should hit you, and like there's not really any point. I mean, like you will see mid obviously, and like you will see this early, so like you can do it, but just be warned, like you may lose an EBR for doing this. I mean, from both sides. So yeah. Right, let's get into some key positions. Right, here is strat number 1. This is basically a very simple strat of just dumping mid. You're just going with your 9s over the mid with these double 260s. You're going to G1, H1 on this little ridge here. You're basically aiming for anything here, and you can shoot the mid as well. These 60Ps you're all peeking up before the 9s come over. Oops. Get that EBR out of there. Yeah, so the idea is obviously you send your EBR just to see if there's something happening here. EBR in the mid, despite what's coming mid. Afterwards, you're just bringing in all your 9s. These double 260s come to here. These 60Ps over peak before the 9s, and then you swing like this with your 9s into this lane, and you hope your double 260 is here. With your EBR, you go clear this. At the same time, this EBR just does his run normally, and then he runs back to 1-2 to also do this in case this EBR is low health and needs another EBR to go clear the sturv here. After you've kind of cleaned mid and you've killed this guy, you can then bring your double 260 to go kill the guy in K1. These 260s also will have like kind of shots on K1, but I mean they're 260s, not the best pen. If it's a 279, you're never penning basically. And yeah, the idea is you clean mid, they are forced to do something. If they are rails, they will normally come in like this to take the mid again, while also sending like 2 guys to here or something to shoot these people. And yeah, if they don't do this, and they're sitting rails, I mean, obviously they will punish you as you go, but hopefully you pick up enough guns where the damage or the bleed is fine, and you basically kind of split the map, but you should be a lot of guns up, maybe 5 or so. So, yeah, quite a nice strat, very simple. Enemy team might see it when you have 9-0s, but yeah. The only thing I would be careful of is if they play quite a heavy mid. If they play like 6 tanks mid, let's say, they bring like 3 towards the bowl, with 1 going in, 2 staying here, and I don't know, 360Ps. It is up to you if you think you can dump that. I would probably say it depends on where they are. If they're like here and you can pick them up kind of easy, but as a pack it's kind of hard. But if they're like here and like spread out, it's probably doable. But yeah, it's kind of up to you if you think you can do it. Anything less than, or anything less than 4 or 5, you probably can easily dump with no issues. Or no afterthought of not being able to kill everything in the mid. The problem lies of them retaking the mid and then holding your 1-2 so you can't clear the sturv and kill this guy. Because if you can't kill these two, this sturv will just farm if there's anything left in mid. Can even roll a bit forward to kill these guys in the dip. And eventually they will just get to here and even here. And they will force your 60Ps to just back off, basically, and you will die. A slow, painful death. Because all your tanks are trapped here and like here and here. So that's why it's kind of important to clean the mid quickly and get to 1-2. But if they only have 1 here, maybe you can send your 60Ps over to kill it. But yeah, it depends on how they're set up, because they might have a guy on hill or a guy rail still. But yeah, a very simple strat. Right, here is the next strat. This is kind of a 9-0-isk strat. So firstly, obviously you have EBR spot here and here. This CS is pushing this I7. This I7 should have speed gov, grousers, like everything. I guess in the next patch it will be gasoline or whatever the fuck it's called. But yeah, you're getting pushed like this to here to spot this. Or spot the rails basically. You're then probably backing off, especially if they cross 1 guy over straight. You might be in a bit of trouble because he can come to here and start shooting you. You are not you are killable here, so you might be forced to go back. But yeah, you're just getting early rails info. For that, the CS then just obviously after you stop pushing him just comes to here. And yeah, you kind of just see off what info you have. If they decide to push all their tanks up the hill, or you see them like crossing like this, you will then just bring these 4 guys out with these double 260s as well, and you'll dump over the mid. So you'll have something like this. These 260s come from the inside, or the 6 line. This CS will probably run away. If this I7 can join this group, he should. Now, obviously, this is not the best overpush of the century. You know, you have heavy tanks, but you know, not a lot of DPM. But if they're all like here and they don't see you crossing over, yeah, you kind of just catch these people here while they're still going up the hill, and they all take their time to come and jump back into their side. Which hopefully you've cleaned the mid, you have killed K1 and K2. So it's kind of that kind of mid overpush that I showed last time, but in heavier form, basically. The CS also just goes back to here, or A6. It depends on what he thinks is going to happen in the game. If he thinks that you can clean middle very easily, then maybe he stays A6. But if he thinks it's probably going to be a bit iffy, then he probably stays here to shoot the outside a little bit. I mean, he can also do that from A6, so it's kind of up to the CS where he wants to go. I would probably just say A6 in most scenarios, just so you can farm the outside. And but having him here, it forces at least one, probably 2 to kill him. Probably an EBR and something to kill him, because you know you don't want to send a tank on a 1v1 and he loses it and the CS lives. But yeah, that's one reaction. The other reaction, is just going 1-2. Yeah, like if you see them like maybe full rails and you don't think an overpush will work, you might go 1-2 and just push it out with the 6, maybe even 7 tanks. And the E5 comes into the dip, the serve comes up to E1, and you just push 1-2. 1-2 pushes can work, but they are a bit iffy at times. Next would be just overpushing the hill. If you don't see if you see like them coming heavy mid, like I don't know, 3 I7s to the bowl, 360Ps here, or you see a guy here that's like an E5 or something, that's not like a 260 or an I7. You know, they're playing heavy mid. You probably can push over the hill straight with the 4 guys, and this guy just here. These 260s, it's kind of up to you if what you think the enemy team will do. If you think they will come back, then these 260s can just come to here. I mean, most likely their move will just be to push out 1-2 if they don't have the timing to come back, which they shouldn't really, especially if they haven't spotted these people. And yeah, these people then can reinforce 1-2 and they will never push through 1-2 because they just don't have the numbers. And if they do have the numbers, they'll need, I mean, what's that? That's 4, so probably need like 6 or 7, let's say. One of them being an EBR to flush out the stuff. So, and then after you kill mid, over the hill, you leave like 1 guy here, and the rest come back to either here and re-push into 1-2, or if you think you can push over like here and kill this, then do that as well. Obviously, at the same time, these 60Ps and mouse are just chilling in mid. They can come back to here or come back to here. It's up to them really and what they see. This can be 360Ps if you want. I've been testing the mouse recently, just because it was kind of being used a bit more for mid. It's just kind of like a bunch of HP that like will take a long time to die, even to like 907 DPM. But you know, a 60 GP is also fantastic for mid because it just has the alpha to peak up and hit for 750, right? So yeah, they're the 3 kind of main reactions on this strat. You can also, like, if this I7's backed off, or if you want, you can just put an I7 onto the hill as well, just to kind of go here after this guy has got the info and backed off. So then you have, again, 4 here with the CS. These 260s come probably up to here, and then you kind of decide on what you want to do. This I7 should spot all this rotation If you don't think you're in time, these 260 should probably just stay here, just because if you get this, they will probably be more inclined to push 1-2 because you just spot their rotation, and if you spot their rotation, you just dump over the mid, right? So yeah, and if for some reason they go across with their whole team at the beginning, I mean, this guy probably will die coming in, but if so, you have 4 more tanks to redump and these 2 guys to shoot them as they come in, right? And plus these people, like you can probably bring a double 60p like to here, and the mouse staying like mid. Obviously the CPR is 1-2. So they are the reactions to this strat. I used this like a very similar strat in Rivals, last Rivals when I FC'd my own team, and it was somewhat successful. It does work, but Proko is Proko. Sometimes it just doesn't work. But yeah. Oh, another reaction would be if they are pushing 9-0 straight. Obviously, your EBR sees it first. This CS and IS7 just go to here, along with these 4 people. Probably, if they can get to here, these double 260s cross over to A9, and the Sturv comes over to rails. Probably even the E5 as well. Let's just do this, because there's a little Hulldown here that you can use with your IS7s and 260s. This guy might. This CS probably runs away as well, to be fair. And then you just have something like this with your double 60B here, ready to push over the ridge. Basically, I mean, if you see nothing 1-2, maybe bring the E5 over as well. But yeah, it's a pretty annoying strat if they push 9-0, because they have to kill this group, basically. I mean, you can even try and push it all the way up on the hill, but you probably get shot a lot for doing it. But yeah, very annoying to kill this group, and if they just ignore you and try and clean this, then they just die to 4 guns shooting them, plus a Sturv that will shoot them when they finally come over, plus the 60Bs can also shoot from mid, I think. So yeah, quite a nice strat. Hello, welcome to the first replay. Obviously from North. I can't remember if I have shown this strat before, but this is basically kind of like a mid-over push kind of strat. But it can do other things as well, like you can push 9-0 with this strat. But yeah, basically, at the start of the game, just seeing if anything, crosses over rails. That's just kind of why you don't jump the EBR over mid, because, I should have hit 2 shots there, and, if one of the BZs hits, then your EBR is very low health. So it's very scary. So I wouldn't recommend going over the rails. Anyway, their EBR tries to get E1, and he kind of does, but yeah, this is the moment. Like at this moment, I could decide to push up the 680p to this, or maybe the i7 to here, and then push like over mid, or do the overpush, or I could bring on my BZ's hill, and push with the 9Os like this, with all the BZs going over the top. Like I could do this as well, but with this many i7s and 9Os that are probably sitting on rails at the moment, I thought I kind of wanted to try an overpush from 2 sides. Yeah, so you're just waiting to push, basically. Kind of unfortunate here, this mouse is peaking quite high. So he spots this push really early, just very bad. Technically, you could slow down this game and send your i7 to bowl, because they have not taken bowl. You can just send your i7 in, probably, and then just contest mid to push them down, and then push over the mid with the BZs. Could do that as well. I just didn't think they were peaking that high when I did push mid, so yeah. I can't remember if I've put this strat down in the video, but the reason you're using BZs is basically they have a bit more higher health, and they have that rocket boost, which makes them like a little faster. If they were hiding in the bushes here to just like straight away boost over and come over the mid. So yeah. So we're just waiting for this. Tell the double mouse to peek up high to take some shots ideally. And yeah, we kill the mouse pretty quickly, and the 999 are kind of not really shot at, which is nice from Rails because they were not spotted for a while. So we get these 2 kills quite easily, which is quite nice. We also kill the whole of middle without losing a gun yet, and obviously we have to continue into the 3 line to get under their guns and then clear out 1-2. You can't just sit in mid because eventually you'll be farmed from the STRV that's here. Quite a weird setup from the enemy IMO. I guess they expected a 1-2 push, I guess. But if I did decide to push over the hill with BZs and 9ers like this, I think that also wins against what they did. So, yeah. Obviously, EBR is YOLOing the stuff, so everyone in mid has to kill him. You know? Selfish gets rammed by an I7 for like 1k, which wasn't great. But at the end of the day, we do kill this. So went well, I would say. Like you could tell these BZs, like after they stopped here to come across, or you could tell them to just keep on coming all the way. But staying here was actually not awful. Just to make sure we kill these people in mid. So yeah, pretty good to be fair, pretty good. And yeah, now it's just kind of clean up. They have lost all map control really, and yeah, we can kill 1-2 slowly. Kind of just need our EBR to come over and he can spot out everything. But we have enough health just to push in. And it's what a nice game, to be honest. Yeah, not much really to it. Like this was just like I saw 4 tanks mid. I have 4 BZs, 3 9ers, so 7 plus double mouse 9 and 160 speed coming into the bowl. So I have 10 tanks in mid to commit to an overbush first there for, and I mean I guess the rest was sniping, but I mean I7 sniping wasn't great, I would imagine. And we cleaned up that mid really quick. So it was pretty good, I would say. And yeah, good Inspire as well. Should have Inspire on the 9ers for this as well. Yeah, a pretty good result. Right, here is the next strat. It's a bit more well, it's a very simple strat. You're basically pushing 9-0 up opener. You can, if you want, just keep your I7s here, or probably back here, so they don't get spotted by EBR, and try and shoot the EBR, and then push this. But yeah, the idea of pushing straight is to not allow something get other than a serve to get into A0, and stop anything from coming like under the hill, basically. Because if they do send something here straight, you'll probably need to push over the hill to kill the guy that is here. But yeah, very simple. You're just pushing this. You will then climb up this ridge line and try and get out to here with like 2, and maybe leave the rest here. And they will probably either do 1 or 2 things. They either repush you, or they try and dump over the mid, or take the 1-2. It's like the 2 things that they can do. Obviously, sometimes you may just run into a camp, and they're just sitting on rails. They have a guy going up to 8-0, guy here, and they just repush you instantly. Obviously these 60Bs jump over the rails after you do push 1-2, leaving this guy in mid. You do this so if they dump over the mid, they only catch 1 guy, and if they push out the 1-2 with their whole team and split the map, again you only lose like these 2 people or 3. Technically the stuff should run away really if he sees them full coming 1-2, so he doesn't die for no reason, and he just sits back here. Again, if it's split map, it becomes a bit difficult. Basically because you need to decide what side you're pushing, and yeah, it's just a 50-50 of what you want to push, really. There's nothing really more special to it. What you need to be ready for this push is seeing how much is here and here. If you don't think there's a lot here, or like your I7s get to here and they're telling you, well, you don't see anything here, or maybe one tank, and then they're saying there's a lot rails, you can probably climb this up and kill it with like 3, and the rest should probably just come in maybe to here and stop them from peeking on the rails. Like you might also see them just leave the rails and just go towards mid. At that point, you need to tell your I7s to turn and get ready to sit here to get ready for their mid push, and obviously still send enough to kill whatever is here. Your EBR obviously is just doing this mid run, then going back to G1. That's really it for this strat. There's not really much more in depth I can talk about. You know, if they do some kind of like 1-9-0 straight, or like pushing like, I don't know, 6 tanks like this, you just have a fight really, because you kind of spot at each other at the same time. You probably will lose that if they have something here or here, or here and here, because you know you'll be busy fighting this and they have a crossfire, and your Sturv is not useless, but if they're playing here, he's kind of useless. But if you know, for some reason there's like a big brawl here, then the Sturv can probably peek over, and these double 6Bs can come over. If you want to full risk it, like you would do something like this. Basically, have 4 6Bs going mid, 2 of them jump over, and the rest of your team is here just to fight this. I mean, you don't need to bring double stuff. Like, if you just want to bring 1 stuff for the hill and another I7, you can. You just leave 1 6B here, and EBR here, and EBR tries to run away, and yeah, and then you have more on the side to fight, basically. But yeah, that's kind of it for this strat. Yeah. Right, next for south. This is the strat I've kind of talked about, but you're just bringing your I7s to bowl. If you see them coming bowl as well, it is your decision if you want to dump. If they send 2, you probably send 2. If they send 1, you dump with 1 probably, because you can just redump with double I7 if he dumps. If they bring 4 or 5, you don't dump and you just sit here. And yeah, you just ideally you get 1 tank in, the other 2 stay out, because you don't want to send all 3 in. They send nothing, they have an EBR here, and you can't leave unspotted when they punish you from A2. So ideally you just send 1 in, if possible. Obviously these guys are just here if they just dump with their whole team. These people are just here to come and help. These 2 6s are also here so they can redump as well. So if they try and fight you bowl, you should have a lot of guns in place to fuck it, really. If they're doing some kind of mid strat of dumping over, this I7 is basically meant. Well, I've put this I7 here so he can try and like just go back, live, and ideally try and get on back over to the rails, so he can then stay here and just farm the people that are here. If they do dump over the mid, you probably want to stay ideally here as like a pack of 5 or 6, so it's very hard to kill you, and or even ideally you probably get back to here with like everything, because if they don't kill you here, you're staying in mid and you're alive. But yeah, and if they dump mid, the I7 from the hill can decide either he goes like this or he falls back and goes to here. If there's something here or here, he probably might need to push it out. This E5, it can be an E5, it can be a Sturv. Up to you. I mean, you can make it an S-Conk. I just think a Sturv would be better because S-Conk is just too immobile, and the gun is not amazing for DPM. So I think a Sturv is just better because you want the guy to have DPM. If they kind of do nothing off opener and they just kind of sit, it is your choice if you want to push over the mid, push 9-2, 9-2, 9-0, or 1-2. If you're going to push 1-2 from south, you need to clear the EBR first. You cannot push 1-2 without clearing the EBR. If he is here, it's a pretty easy clear. So you just kind of bring your EBR along the bush line. Ideally, you have the bowl as well, so you can go like this. And he just does a run here. All these 260s are aiming for him, and he dies. Maybe even the people from mid and the stuff can also aim. And then you can go push 1-2, or you can bring your EBR down the bush line to spot this rotation, and then you can decide on what you want to do. If you're pushing over mid, you're normally pushing over mid if they have 1 mid or 2 mid, and you think you can catch it. So in that case, let's just say that you have 1 in bowl. You have this double I7 here. This is a Sturv. You bring him close to the ridge. All these 260s come as well. So you have 6 pushing over. Kind of depends on where the guy is. If he is here, I would probably just push 1-2 after clearing the EBR and dumping him. Most people don't put a tank here by himself in mid. Normally there'll be a guy here or a guy here. If there is 2 guys in mid, you just kill the first one and then swing. These 6 CPs again are picking up on the ridge line to take some shots from A6 or A2 before these guys dump over. And yeah, you're just killing the 2 guys in mid and then either swinging to 3 line or you're pushing all the way to A6. Normally, if you're pushing to A6, there's normally less in mid if it's like one guy here. You're normally just dumping over to go to A6 to then basically split the map in half. So that these people on rails, like normally it's a camp that you're doing this against. So the people on rails are basically split. They cannot push over the hill really. They can't come to here because you have the hill control. And yeah, and then your idea is basically just kind of slowly pressure 1-2, get a stirve here to farm A2, and bring your EBR on this side because everything in mid is dead basically. So he can just kind of come on this side of the bush line and spot the A2, and slowly you can kind of take these guys out of A6 after the EBR is spotting this or stopping the enemy team from peeking up on here. You can also just do it 3 line or like swing like this and go to 3 line. In this case, if they want to cross over to 1-2, you punish it with the people in here and in the mid. This also allows you to then push into A2 yourself. So, I mean, you basically, again, split the map again, but most of their team is here. So, again, you just get the serve into E1, and you just farm A2 with your EBRs. If they do this, normally they leave like a guy rails. Hopefully, you can kind of pin him down from these tanks, or maybe you put a guy like on this side, and you can slowly just kill him. So he's not a problem for these guys anymore. They can kind of peek up on A2 and shoot these people, but that's why you kind of need your EBR to be in these bush line. At the same time, if you're pushing over mid, both EBRs should be ready to go 1-2. They should not be on the hill anymore, especially if your I7 is in the dip. The EBR should be ready to go on the inside of 1-2 to spot A2 or A1. So yeah, that's kind of the reactions of this strat. If you're going to push 9-0, it's normally because there is not a lot. There is a lot in mid. So let's say they're the same as you, like 6. Normally their 9-0 would be weak because of it. So you probably want to bring some of your tanks out of the mid. Ideally the 3-2-60s that are in 1-2. And maybe some of these I7s if you can get them out. Probably this I7 comes as well. So let's just say you spot a lot mid and these guys can get out. So you have 2, you have 3, and then you probably have 4 with this I7 that was on the hill. This E5 would probably stay, I would think. Like if you can switch the E5 for the stirve, like that's kind of why it's nice to have another stirve. So the stirve or the E5 or stirve would be on the hill to support this push. Yeah. But if you bring an E5, ideally kind of leave him 1-2 and the stirve goes hill, just so the E5, you have something kind of, a tank that is good at holding for 1-2. Ideally you'd get one I7 out of mid to then play this, so then you also have a stirve here. So you have a very good crossfire on the 1-2. So they need at least like 2 or 3, probably 3 tanks to push it out. And yeah, you just go push over the 9-0. If there is a guy close on the hill, you should push over the hill. If there is nothing close, then you can do this, run and go up on 9-0. Like if for some reason you want to push 9-0 with your whole team, you probably want to do something like this. Double 60p coming over, 60p staying in mid. Probably want to bring this as well, probably. You want to leave a heavy tank on 1-2, basically. Just so it can hold for a decent amount of time. So, if they leave these guys to die and try and dump over mid and 1-2, he will live for like a minute, allowing you to kind of push something in return. Because if you leave nothing here, they will just send one guy to take the control and then ready themselves for your repush. basically. Yeah, that should be it for that strat. But here's a game from South. So they can all in. It's shark leading. But yeah, very weird that double EBR is mid, so I can't really get the spot off there. So I don't really spot it. But obviously, now I go to 1-2, just to spot the 1-2. Nothing really to it. After the EBR does his run over the rails, you kind of just pull the trigger on the 9-0 push, because this is kind of the only thing this strat can do. In a minute, I guess. I thought it was better than this. Oh yeah, he pulls the 60 piece from mid. Yeah. And yeah, and then he just pushes over there. Obviously, I don't have a great view of it from here, but you know, I'd imagine these I7s are shooting this group, and then this group will climb up here and try and get out here. My marksman, don't mind my aim this game, dude. I sucked. But yeah, we get control of this, and we should really be pushing up with probably a few more. Really, because they're all coming low, but we do have reinforcements here to come in and help from above. But the stove being alive is quite annoying. That's why you kind of put a stove there, because the DPM is just insane on anything that tries to reinforce. So we are just yeah, kind of just trying to kill the CBR on 1-2. And I suck, so I die. Unlucky. But like, it looks like enough tanks went up top side, got away to kill everything on lower. It's kind of why I think sending more up would probably be better. But yeah, we are down health, but we should be securing kills now. So like health is not really an issue that much. Yeah, and game's kind of over now, but you can see this strat is pretty simple. Like, if they send something under the hill, you push over the hill to kill it. If they don't, then you can just send 9-0 or 8-9 at the beginning. And yeah, you just gotta be a little careful if they don't fight you and repush mid off of it, or repush 1-2 off of it, so they split map. Can be a bit annoying if you're attacking from the south, but if you're defending, then you kind of split map, and normally you're okay after that. Yeah, I mean, obviously these people didn't have 15 tanks. Maybe if they had one more tank on 9-0, they win it, so do need to be careful. But yeah, pretty simple strat.